Maybe I'm not. I'm live. Okay, there we go. If we're starting again, welcome. Hello, welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack. This is your match preview. FC Porto versus Manchester United. Sorry, I thought it was live, but I wasn't. But now I am. So happy days. But anyway, you're all welcome, guys. Thanks for joining. As always, big game for Manchester United in the upcoming Europa League, and for a number of different reasons. Obviously, reason one is because we need 3 points on the board, given the very disappointing result that we seen against FC 20 at home during the week, last week. So, United really need to get 3 points on the board, and I think that's what's most important here. Now, we do also know that Manchester United are under a lot of pressure at the moment, and Erik ten Hag specifically is under a lot of pressure. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about our starting 11, our predicted 11, what we would do, who we would play. We'll give a score prediction. We'll talk about the opposition as well. And as always, guys, do get your comments into the comment section below, and we will go through as many of them as we possibly can. Get your score predictions in also, guys. Really looking forward to this one. And it's a midweek game. It's one that, United need to be winning. Now, the thing about it is that given how poor we were last week against FC 20, FC Porto are going to be the highest ranked team that we play in the group stage of the Europa League. So it's going to be the most difficult game if we're going by, the UEFA rankings as it be. So it's going to be interesting to see how we get on with this and how Erik ten Hag approaches the game. Number of different things I want to talk about. First and foremost, I want to talk about rotation and maybe the lack thereof that we need or may not need to do over the coming games for, for wins, for victories, for, to build up a little bit of belief, a little bit of confidence, whatever the case may be. We've been talking an awful lot over the past maybe 12 to 18 months about the lack of depth that Manchester United have. And I think it's safe to say that we do now have quite a decent bit of depth in the squad. Now, that doesn't mean we've got real good quality in that depth, but we now have, a bench there where you don't need to fill it with maybe academy players or players that wouldn't get a game, otherwise. And we're seeing Erik ten Hag rotate a little bit. Now, we've been talking about rotation an awful lot and, the benefits that rotation give teams. And it's maybe resting a player when you can rest him, when he needs a rest, when, you don't have to go and, play a player for each individual game because you've got a little bit of depth in your squad. Now that we're doing a little bit of rotation, there's people giving out. Marcus Rashford, I can understand. That was a big decision out of Ten Hag to drop him for the FC 20 game last week, because before that game, he had scored in 2 consecutive games. He got 3 goals in 2 games, which is very good. And he was showing a little bit of form. And I think the majority of us were saying before the start of the season that he was looking fresh. He was looking sharp in pre-season. He was looking on it. And he got a couple of goals. Erik ten Hag decides to drop him. Or rotate him, as, is the phrase that he used. And, we've seen some rotation in other areas. Obviously, I think the back four has been kept as solid as possible. And, albeit the performance on the weekend was really disappointing, I think overall so far this season, I think our defence has been pretty good, and it's shaping up and it's forming probably a good relationship between the 4 guys that are playing there. We've seen Casemiro being rotated out of the team. We've been seeing our forward line. Garnacho has been in and out. Ahmad has been in and out. Rashford, like we just said, has been in and out. So, where we are at the moment, I don't think, and Chris, I think, mentioned this. Sorry, I'm just seeing your comment there now as well. You were quite critical about not playing the strongest team against FC 20 last week, and it came back to bite us. Now, I think we did play the strongest team against Spurs on the weekend, and we all know what happened there. Now, would it have been as bad against Spurs if we had played the same team, and played maybe our strongest team midweek? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But I do think the more we can get the same players into the squad, then I think the more times we can get the same starting 11 together, I think the quicker they will gel together. And I think the easier it will be for for the squad to try and progress. We've got new players that have come in during the summer that are going to take time to bed in. Every new player takes time to bed in, absolutely. Now, I think De Ligt has started very well. I think Mazraoui has started very well, even though both of them had poor performances on the weekend. I think in midfield, Ugarte, baptism of fire on the weekend for his Premier League debut, but he has had some good performances off the bench so far this season, since he's come in and since Erik ten Hag has been trying to bed him in. And I think that will, remain an ever-changing scenario there. He is going to take time to bed in and find his feet and hit the ground. And we know then Joshua Zirkzee up front as well, got a goal on his debut. I think in terms of scoring goals and chance creations and finishing them chances, he's looked off, and I think everybody is quite aware that we weren't signing an out-and-out, goal machine with Joshua Zirkzee. He's more of a link-up play, and I think his link-up play has been good, but we've seen probably the worst performance from him so far against Spurs on the weekend, which is a concern as well. These players are going to take time to bed in, so I think the more we can play them, the more opportunity and the more, and the quicker maybe it will take for these to bed in. Secondary, I think Ten Hag is now in a position, if reports are to be believed with the media, and obviously the fan base seems to have quickly turned as well, the majority of it anyway, he's got nothing to lose now than to play his strongest team week in, week out. I don't think he can afford to do anything other than that. Why would he go out and rotate maybe Harry Maguire into the team on tomorrow night when De Ligt is obviously the stronger player and the better player there? Why would he do that? And I think for that reason alone, I think I think we probably will see a quite a strong team. And again, you've got to realise that, Erik ten Hag, this is kind of on the flip side of that in relation to will he actually make changes tomorrow night. He made changes last week against FC 20, and we played Wednesday, and we had a game on Sunday. Now, if we're going by that logic, if he's, wanting to keep some players fresh and not have them play Wednesday, Sunday, we're playing on a Thursday night now. Obviously we're playing again on Sunday. So we've got one day less this week in between games. So that is, if we're going by the logic last week of not wanting to play, a certain few players twice in the 1 week, so close together, then that's probably going to be the same case again this week, given the fact that there's a day less. So it remains to be seen what Erik ten Hag is going to do. But again, let me know what you guys think. Let's go through some of your comments here. Desi is in. He says, Porto looking forward to not coming out of second gear. Please God, we turn up tomorrow. Finn says, would nearly take a draw, but we can't lose. Chris says, I don't think anyone should be rotating at this point. No one is playing consistently enough to warrant rotation. We have to decide if it's rotation or being dropped. Well, I think they come on individual basis. I think if, let's say Delo has another stinker at left back on the weekend, do you bring in Harry Amas on Sunday against Villa and all of a sudden Delo is dropped? That wouldn't be rotation. That would be he's dropped. So I think it's on an individual by individual basis. But yeah, I do agree. We have to probably keep an eye on it. Desi says, rotating is great, but when the system is failing, I think the rotation is more of a panic move than anything. Once we have consistent play or style of play, then you can rotate a bit, says Chris. D is in, he says, could you feel the Galacticos and with the ball fucker at the helm, we get smoked 12-1 off Accrington Stanley. We've got a squad here that can do things if we have the proper guidance. Jack, did Martinez play a 6 role at Ajax? He did, but only, I think, 2 or 3 times he played in the number 6. He didn't do it an awful lot. He is able to play there, supposedly, but I wouldn't be taking Martinez out of the back, to be quite honest with you. Now, I know he didn't play good on the weekend, like everybody else, but look, I think we've got to leave Martinez there for the sole reason that he's building a relationship with De Ligt there. And I think, like, going back to my previous point, the more game time guys can put together on the field, the better these relationships will become. D says, what Erik ten Hag is probably going to do is shit the nest with a single tactic, if you can call it that. Jason says, I'm afraid of tomorrow's game. This has to be a good game. Otherwise, we are doomed for Sunday as well. Porto and Villa are going to be tough. Almo says, can you tell me, I've watched us for 3 years and I don't know our style of play. And I still don't till this day. Liverpool had their manager for 5 minutes and you can see it. Well, look, I was thinking about this today. I was out for a stroll with the little lad in the pram. He was asleep, and I was listening to the United View, the morning news show, and I was thinking about this whole style of play, okay? And if we really break it down, and this is pro Erik ten Hag, okay? This is pro Erik ten Hag. Season 1, we know who we've signed. You know, the transfer window wasn't the greatest. It has to be said. You know, Anthony, you're getting in Casemiro, really late on, so on and so forth. And I don't think we had the players to play the same way Erik ten Hag wanted to play. You know what I mean? Now, last season, we know what happened with injuries. Okay, so your squad is decimated. Absolutely decimated. And for the entirety of the season, that was the case. So, does Erik ten Hag have the players at his disposal to play the way he wants to play? No, I don't think he does. Okay, this season, I think up until last week, up until the Europa League game and the Spurs game, I do think we could see the foundations of a style of play. And a lot of people were agreeing with me before last weekend. You know what I mean? Because of, some of the results that we got and so on and so forth. And I think if Erik ten Hag is kept on as Manchester United manager, and look, there is a I suppose a genuine reason to keep him on, okay? And that would be, when are we going to stop sacking managers after 2 seasons? Like, when are we going to do it? Are we going to do it after this one? We have to stop doing it. We sacked Solskjaer after 2 seasons. We sacked Mourinho after 2 seasons. We sacked Van Gaal after 2 seasons. We're now sacking ten Hag supposedly after 2 seasons. When do we just cut the cord and say, no, if Ineos come out and go, he is getting the rest of the season, regardless of what results are like, he's going to get the rest of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Now, would I be happy with it? I mean, I wouldn't be ecstatic. I wouldn't be doing a Gareth Southgate on it and never watching United again. But, there is an argument there for that. That's all I'm saying. So, while I do agree, the style of play and so on and so forth, there is a lack of it there and it is hard to see. I think it is a lot easier to see it before last week than it was all last season, and that would be the kind of the half argument I would throw out there. No way he can get the rest of the season, bro. No way. No, look, I'm not saying he should. But, my argument here is we have to stop sacking managers after 2 years. We have to stop doing it eventually. You know what I mean? It was literally 3 months ago. Everybody was calling out, and more, probably it would have been last maybe March, April time, where everybody was calling out the players. We were calling out after the poor run of results we were having. We were calling out players. We were saying we were sick of this. It's time to back the manager. The players should be ashamed of themselves. To keep throwing managers under the bus, so on and so forth. We have to eventually stick with a manager. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's the weight of expectation on the manager of Manchester United, whoever that may be. I mean, if you got a manager in, I think there's a lot of managers out there that can come in and do a successful job at United. But are there many managers that can come in and, do a successful job, as manager, but also deal with the expectations of the fan base, of the media? I mean, fucking TalkSport had someone call in and give out about what he was wearing on the pitch, on the touchline, and the fact that he's not wearing a suit and so on and so forth. I mean, that's the kind of scrutiny and pressure that you get as a Manchester United manager that no other manager has to deal with. So I'm only playing devil's advocate here. I do think Erik ten Hag time is coming to an end, regardless of how the results go this week. But if I'm playing devil's advocate, I would argue the fact that we've got to stick with a manager through the rough times, because it seems to happen every 2 years. We get, 2 years of maybe ups and downs, and then eventually it gets too bad and we sack the manager. When are we going to just hang on and get through that really tough stage after 2 years? Because I don't know what manager could come in and instantly turn this Manchester United team into, Premier League challengers or, top four. I mean, do Manchester United have the fourth best squad in England at the moment? Do they have the fourth best squad in England at the moment? And I probably don't. I would say they don't. City have a better one. Arsenal have a better one. Liverpool have a better one. And do you know what? I'd probably say Chelsea have a better one. Now, I know they've got about, 100,000 players, but I think they've got a better squad than us. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking fifth. Have Aston Villa got a better squad than us? Probably not. But they're achieving, a lot better than us. And I point that way because I'm watching them on the TV and they're doing really well here against Bayern Munich of all teams, So if we're being realistic here, what manager is going to come in and take us from, challenging for top four to consistently getting into it and taking that next step to winning the Premier League title or challenging from the Premier League title? I don't know, to be quite honest with you. Let me know what you think. Point being, the players don't buy his setup and that's it. But the thing about it is, Desi, is that Erik ten Hag was kept on by Ineos, okay, because of how he sets up the team, the way he wants to play. We've now got a director of football, in Jason Wilcox, who is heavily involved in how we play and how we set up and the type of football we want to play as a club, not just as the team or how the manager wants to play. Now, if the players are not buying into Erik ten Hag, and we've set up this whole structure behind the scenes that this is how we want to play, what happens when a new manager comes in? Because the new manager is going to be appointed with the idea that this is how we want to play. So, I don't know, if players don't buy into it, I don't know if that's the case, to be quite honest with you. If we go through the team, Onana, former loyal to Ten Hag. I think he is. Delo always wears his heart on the sleeve. Absolutely, 100%. Martinez, the same. I think he's behind him. I think De Ligt is behind him. He's only in the door. Mazraoui is only in the door. He's obviously going to be behind him. Ugarte is only in the door. He's going to be behind him. Kobbie Mainoo is too young and too... too young to be coming out and saying this is shit. I don't know, because it's the only manager he's had at senior level. Bruno Fernandes, for example, just looks like he's lost himself at the moment. Marcus Rashford, he scored 30 goals under Erik Ten Hag in his first season, and he's looking sharp this season. Garnacho has been brought through by Erik Ten Hag and given his chance. Xerxes has been bought by Erik Ten Hag, so I'm sure he's behind him. Ahmad has been brought back into the squad by Erik Ten Hag and been given a very solid run in the squad by Ten Hag. So I don't know if this whole players are not buying into Ten Hag is really true, to be quite honest with you. I would be. Now look, there probably is one or two there, but you're going to get that in every single squad. Absolutely you will. But yeah, anyway, let's see. Jock is in. Evening, Jack. Hope you're doing good. Keep up the good work. Always good content. Appreciate it, Jock. Finn says that Talk Sport is a hideous show. Chris says Emery went to Arsenal and got sacked because of the players. Arteta came in and got rid of the players, and it took 3 years to axe them. Yeah, there you go. You know what I mean? Emery went to Villa with a better roster than what Erik Ten Hag had when he came to United, and that's a very good point as well. And again, to play devil's advocate on the flip side of that, I do think Emery has done an awful lot better with what's available to him than Erik Ten Hag is doing with what's available to him as well. Which is kind of weighing up the options there also. But I agree with what you're saying there, Chris. D says, not Potter or Southgate. Do you hear that, Ineos? Yeah, exactly. We've got a better squad than Arsenal players says Almo. Yeah, we do now. But, this is Ten Hag's third season, and we've seen what happened with, I think it was Arteta's fourth season. Didn't they have back-to-back 8th place finishes, and then they finished 5th, I think, something like that. So there you go. We still had a better team than them on paper, says Desi. Miguel says, I've always been Erik Ten Hag in, but it's getting harder to defend him when there's no style of play. There's no clear plan out there, no philosophy. On paper is for fools, says Chris. It's all changes, says Miguel, game to game, and I understand managing minutes and all, but there is no consistent style. Chris says, Ollie Watkins is better than any frontline player we have. I agree. I agree 100%. Highland under Pep would be fighting for the Golden Boot. Well, I think the reason for that, Miguel, is that they create a lot more chances. I don't think it's down to Pep individually. I think they've got a better squad and they create a lot more. And obviously Pep has a lot to do with that, but they've got a lot more talent in their squad than we do. But you've forgotten they've all been through been brought in by Ten Hag, but they've all also had a chance to chat with Moaning Face, Rashford and Shaw. I don't know if that is Rashford, to be honest with you. I mean, again, seeing clips of him today in training, he's happy, he's laughing, he looks enthused this season. He looks sharp, he looks like he wants to be playing. Yeah, I wouldn't be putting too much blame on Rashford, to be honest with you. 15 Premier League games and 19 points. Relegation form, that is, says D. Last 15 Premier League games, that is. There are things that Erik Ten Hag needs to answer for. Mount and lack of goal scoring as well. Something wrong with the live, supposedly, on TikTok. Yeah, I don't know. It seems my computer is not strong enough to stream to both YouTube and TikTok at the same time. So, look, we'll leave it going for now, guys, and we'll see how we get on by the end of it. But yeah, look, if you're new to the YouTube channel or the TikTok channel, hit the follow button. The lives are usually not like this, but yeah, do hit that follow button. Or get over and watch us on YouTube as well, guys. Anyone on TikTok, we are live over on YouTube as well. And there's no lag or anything over there. Come on over to YouTube. Link is on my homepage. Click the YouTube button. Come over, hit subscribe, and get involved in the chat with us. Right, guys, I want to go through my predicted 11 for the game on tomorrow night, and we'll put it up on the screen here on YouTube. So as well, anyone on TikTok, if you want to come over and check it out, we've got it up on the screen right now. There we go. Right, so again, I've gone strong with it, and again, there's a number of different ways this could change, to be honest with you, depending on personnel. We've got back four. Obviously, Andre Onana starts in goal, as always. Back four remains the same for me. Mazraoui, Delot, Martinez, and De Ligt. And again, I go back to what I've said. I think there's no reason for Erik ten Hag, to rotate, to be quite honest with you. And going back to all of the points that the guys have said in the live chat as well, I don't think there's a need to rotate. And I don't think Erik ten Hag can afford to rotate at the moment. So that's the reason why I've gone with that back four. Midfield then, I've gone with Ugarte again in midfield. Look, disappointing performance by him on the weekend, but he wasn't the only one. And look, he's new, game time. Get him back in there, get him playing, and get his form back up. So happy days. Chance for Villa. Anyway, so I've gone with Ugarte in there. I've brought Christian Eriksen back into the team. Now, the reason for that is obviously Kobbie Mainoo picked up an injury on the weekend. Now, he has been training with the first team squad, and he's travelled and is part of the travelling squad. My reasoning for putting Eriksen in is that I just don't know how much of a risk it would be by playing him. And look, we know Eriksen has played really well in the games that he's played this season. He scored a couple of goals as well. So I've gone with him. And I've gone with Bruno Fernandes as well. Obviously, his red card has been rescinded. So I think, look, a lot of people talking about Bruno Fernandes and should be dropped and so on and so forth. I think you just play him. I think you play him. Look, I know he's the captain of the club. I think you play your way out of bad form more than anything else. I think it's the easiest way of getting out of bad form. Just put him back out on the pitch and let him play. Now, look, Mason Mount hasn't travelled. He got stitches in his head, so he's going to miss the game. So for that reason, I think Bruno Fernandes is going to play. And I think he should play, like I said. Just get him in. Get him some game time. Let's see, can he play his way out of this rut that he's in at the moment. The one thing I would say about midfield, and Bruno Fernandes specifically, is I want to see a little bit more structure within that midfield. Bruno Fernandes, loves playing amongst the chaos when, it's end to end. And I think that's where he thrives. I think a lot of his improvement can come from a rigid midfield, and it's not something we're seeing an awful lot under Ten Hag. You would hope Ugarte can be that linchpin now in the number 6, once he finds his feet. And that will give the license to Bruno to maybe be box to box, and maybe Eriksen or Mainoo, whoever it is, in the 10 or vice versa. But I want to see a little bit more structure in that midfield as much as possible in the upcoming games. Forward line then, guys. Actually, sorry, I meant to change and I did change it. I made a mistake. Let me see. I've actually got Ahmad there instead of Garnacho. I have a feeling Ahmad will come back in. Given the poor performance, and Garnacho played poor on the weekend as well, really poor. And I think Ahmad will probably come back in, to be quite honest with you. I think Rashford continues to play on that left-hand side. And he's looked like our most dangerous threat across the front line so far this season, in my opinion. Xerxes hasn't looked like a goal threat, given the fact that he's more of a link-up player. I think there has been moments where Garnacho has looked quite threatening, and Ahmad equally, but I think consistently, I think it's been Rashford who's looked the most threatening. And I've gone with Rasmus Højlund back in as the number 9. We need a number 9 back into the team. I think, look, Xerxes, I don't know how we're going to get Xerxes into the team if we're looking for a number 9 to go and score goals, because we need players. We need goals. We need goals. We're not scoring enough of them. We need to get a striker in there, and Rasmus Højlund as he's come off the bench twice now, I think. So I think it's time for him to get the start. And I think Ahmad coming in off that left-hand side, I think is good enough to find Højlund in the box. We need to start scoring goals. So that's my starting 11. Let me know your starting 11, guys, in the chat, or let me know would you change anything either. Let me know as well in the chat, and we'll go through it. The TikTok is quite glitchy, in fairness. Which is a shame. Anyway, score predictions for the game on the weekend. Or the game tomorrow night. I mean, look, Porto at the moment, supposedly, are going through a little bit of a turbulent time as well. But they've got some decent players. You know what I mean? They've got some decent players. And obviously, they've got a very good goalkeeper in Diogo Costa. And, you know, given the fact that Manchester United are struggling to score goals, coming up against what you would probably say is a world-class goalkeeper, is you know, a bit of a pain, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, look, I mean, score predictions. We need to score goals. Are we going to do it? Are we going to turn it around? You know, historically, when United have needed goals over, you know, or when, you know, say Ten Hag has been under pressure, we've tended to pull a result out of the bag. I'm going to go with it. I don't know. I'm really stumped on this one, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 1-0 to us. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 1-0 to them. I wouldn't be surprised if we win 2-0, 3-1. If we lose 2-0, it's really, really hard, to be quite honest with you. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win to United. 2-1 win to United. I think we get the result, but I don't think we get a convincing performance. Let me put it that way. Let me see what you guys think. Luke, thanks for the 8 months. Scary game tomorrow. He says, appreciate it as always, guys. Anyone else wants to become an official channel member, guys, like Luke, link is in the description of the video, or it's pinned in the live chat as well. Let's see what you're thinking here. Chris says, our midfield has to stay central and make things work. No roaming. Vincent says, what more does this club need? These players have everything to play really well. There is something going on here we as fans will never understand, and media feeding on that. David says, Xerxes in as a number 10 could be good. His link-up play is decent. Highland could really feed off of that. Maybe so. Put Xerxes in instead of Bruno, says Michael. There's somebody else saying that. That's just the 11 I reckon he will end up putting out, says D. Porto 2-0, says Michael. Score predictions. Miguel says 2-2. Let's see. Vincent says United not taking enough shots outside the box and riding the wave of luck. Anything can happen once they take shots outside. Things could change and lift these players. D says 2-0 to Porto. Chris says 2-0 United. Vincent says 1-1. Head over heart, says Chris. Shaw out for another 6 to 8 weeks as another injury occurred. Yeah, I was going to talk about it. I look, I think we can forget about Luke Shaw, to be quite honest with you. I think our fullbacks this season, if Malacia comes back, okay, brilliant. But I think our 4 fullbacks this season should be the 2 that are playing at the moment, Malacia and Harry Amas. Forget Luke Shaw. I feel sorry for him. Don't get me wrong. I really do feel sorry for him. But I mean, what more can you do? Literally, what more can you do about Luke Shaw? It's you know, he is literally made of, you know, glass. And it's a shame. It really is. Ben says 3-1 United for some positive. I love it. Positive. Keep it positive. That's the hard talking Jack. 2-1, says Vincent. Chris says, I think Casemiro and Ugarte will sit in and control the centre of the park. I wouldn't be against that at all, Chris. Absolutely not. United always get me back in, says David. I still think they'll turn this around. Am I an idiot? I don't think you are. You're a loyal fan, David. And I'm the same. I do think we'll turn it around. I don't think the the last week is going to be the defining moment of our season. I don't. Are we going to have performances like Spurs again? Probably. It's about in between them performances putting a good run together. And yeah, we need to do that. But you're not in Egypt. No way. I want to see an offensive lineup tomorrow, says Miguel. Desi says, can't see a win, hoping for a win though, but form is temporary, class is permanent. Hope we turn up 1-0 to United. There we go. If he comes out with the same tactics as the weekend, we're goosed. Buy out his contract and let him leave. Well, the thing about it is that I don't think United can really afford to sack Ten Hag. I think it's going to be 17 million for us to sack him. And if we don't get Champions League football this season, we're not going to come in line with PSR, supposedly, which is a big concern as well. Big concern. My heart wants a win, but my head is battling, says Chris. David says, Glass can be strong. I'd say he's more like Weetabix. Right, there we go. Shaw puts country before club. Yeah, and it's sacrilege, to be honest with you. I think we'll just nick it with a 1-0 win, says Darryl. £17.5 million to sack him, says Chris. Yeah, and that's the big concern. You know, the fact that it is going to take that much to sack him, and we cannot afford to do that, given, you know, PSR and FFP and all that kind of stuff. All of this comes into play. It really does. So if we go out and sack Erik ten Hag, it's a negative in more ways than one. You know what I mean? It really is a negative in more ways than one, and that's a big concern. Just to keep you updated with the live scores as well, guys. Obviously, Aston Villa and Bayern at the moment are 0-0. It's a really good game, though. Keeping an eye on it here. Benfica are beating Atletico Madrid 3-0. Real Madrid are 1-0 down to Lille as well. Liverpool are 2-up against Bologna. RB Leipzig and Juventus are 2-2, and Sturm Graz are 1-0 down to Club Brugge. So there we go. Guys, really looking forward to tomorrow night as well, so make sure you're tuning in for it. Hit subscribe if you are new to the channel, guys. The numbers are flying up. We've got more than, where are we, over here, sorry. We've got something like 500 new subscribers in the last 2 or 3 days, which is absolutely fantastic. So if you are new to the channel, guys, do hit that subscribe button. Get involved in the chat. Love seeing new people in, you know, love seeing new names in, like Miguel there. I think that's your, correct me if I'm wrong, but your first time in. So you're very welcome. You know, and other people up along maybe that I may have missed. You know, if you are new to the channel, jump into the chat, say hello, get your comments in. It's an interactive fan channel that we run as well. So you know, I want to you know, you guys' opinion, and Almo as well, I think, is maybe new. Your opinion is just as valid as mine. So yeah, happy days. But guys, look, we'll leave it there. People are saying Villa are 1-up. Happy days. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh yeah, 1-up. What an absolutely brilliant result. If they can hold out for Aston Villa. I mean, to be playing Bayern Munich in your very first, it's a great finish, over the shoulder, first time. Absolutely fantastic finish. And Ollie Watkins wasn't too happy coming off, and the lad that comes on in replace, in his spot, has scored a goal. Where the fuck was Neuer, though? Out in absolute no man's land. What a result for Villa. I'm delighted for him, to be honest with you. Nothing against Villa. They're one of the teams that not that I have a soft spot for, but yeah. But Neuer was in no man's land there. Criminal. Right, guys, look. Well, Jack's played with Yap Stam, so he knows his stuff. There you go. Jack, I've been here for a couple of seasons. My apologies, Miguel. I do apologise. If you've been here, there's so many people commenting that when I see somebody maybe who hasn't commented as much, it pops out to me. But thank you for being here for so long. I appreciate you just as much as the next guy in the chat. Guys, look, we'll leave it there. I'll be back tomorrow night for the watch along. do make sure you're tuning in for. What is kickoff? I just want to double check. I presume it's 8 o'clock. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. So we will be live tomorrow from, it'll either be 7 or 7:30. So keep an eye out. Make sure you're following me on Twitter, guys, more than anywhere else. I'm going to start posting to Twitter a lot more. So please make sure you're following my Twitter account. Link is in the description of the video. I'm going to be putting updates on Twitter as much as I possibly can. It's the easiest place to interact with people. And, you know, you can hit the bell notification on Twitter as well. So when I do post something, you'll just get a quick notification on your phone. So make sure you follow me over on Twitter, and I'm going to start posting a lot more there as well. Guys, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. I'll talk to you tomorrow night. Have a good evening and a good day tomorrow. Hopefully see you all tomorrow night. Take it easy. Good luck.